one.
Good evening. This is the Town of LaSalle meeting of Committee of Adjustment for Wednesday, August the 18th, 2021. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm going to take a roll call of the members for tonight, and I'm going to ask to give a wave and verbally announce that you've heard your name. First one is Jim Boscario.
Here.
Yep, Vince Marcotte. Valentina Bernoni.
Here.
And Teresa Nicodemo.
Here.
Ryan Tufts, Planning Technician and Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment.
Here.
And Alan Burgess, Supervisor of Planning and Development.
Here.
And I'm your chairperson. My name is John Lee. It appears that two of the people that were on the agenda tonight have shown up. If there's a change of the order, please let me know. So all applications are subject to a 20-day appeal period. Any person desiring to appeal a decision of this Committee of Adjustment may, upon request in writing to the Secretary, receive a copy of the decision to be used for an appeal. The fee for filing an appeal can be obtained from the Secretary Treasurer. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest tonight? Seeing none. Could I have an adoption of the minutes from July 21st, 2021? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Jim and Vince, and that carries. Mr. Tufts, are there any requests for deferral or withdrawal of any applications for tonight?
None received.
Thank you. We are having some connectivity problems, so as a result, I'm going to go a little bit out of order. I will announce the file application and the number prior to discussing the application. And as I said, I will be going out of order from the established document. So the second application is file A021, file 4117, Cheryl and Brian and Cheryl Barlow, and the application is for a minor variance of reduced rear yard setback for a proposed sunroom. Mr. Tufts is going to make a presentation on the severance application.
Okay, so as John said, we have an application for minor variance for a proposed sunroom. Lands in zone residential 1. This is the proposed site plan from the applicant. There's an existing deck at the back that they're going to be converting into a 4-season room with 20 feet setback. So again, there's an existing covered deck that the homeowner would like to enclose. The rear yard setback for a deck is 8 feet, and the existing deck on the property is 23 feet. We recommend that this is approved.
Okay, thanks. I see Mr. Gillen's in the room. Mr. Gillen, you may speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and provide a brief explanation of the application and confirm that you've read and understood the staff report.
Hey, my name is Rodney Gillen with Diamond Home Improvement. We are the contractor that is going to be building the sunroom for the homeowners. The homeowners would like to, they have an existing deck on the property, but they would like to use it a little more throughout the season without the bugs and things of that nature. So they'd like to convert their deck to a more usable sunroom that they could enjoy their outdoor space more throughout the season. Is there anything else you require?
Committee members, any questions of Mr. Gillen? I see Vince, go ahead.
that you're using is the same as the deck that's out there right now?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
The footprint of the sunroom, is it the same as the deck?
Very similar, but it's going to change slightly because we're altering the where the door is going to end up on the to the backyard. So it's going to be very similar footprint, but I think it's going to be a little bit bigger than the existing deck that's there.
Yeah,
Any
just
other
one-
questions, Jim?
Well, just to review very quickly, and it's more of a building question than what we have here. But I mean, this is obviously going to be a full foundation with the proper insulation, all that other stuff that will go through the building department anyway. But because I used to run into 3-season versus 4-season rooms, and there was a lot of controversy back in the day with those things. So you're saying it's definitely a 4-season room then?
Yeah, so our sunroom, so we're at Diamond, we're the authorized installer of Lifestyle sunrooms. Lifestyle is Canada's largest sunroom manufacturer. And so on their sunroom, it is going to be extremely well built. We get it all engineered. We have an engineer that will document everything. My designer does a 20-page document for the building department. So we will have everything on the plans as shown when we do our full set of drawings done up. We do multiple sunrooms in multiple municipalities, and we have no problem getting the permits required for the sunroom. So you won't have any issue in regards to the construction or anything that is being used. It's we built quite a few of these throughout the Windsor-Essex County area.
Yeah, the only reason I bring it up is because it's such an energy efficiency thing going on right now. And what you're saying is obviously correct. I mean, if you're getting permits in other municipalities, there's no reason why you shouldn't get one here. But I'm only bringing it up because of some ancient history that we used to go through with those things. So
Oh, I see.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Committee members, any questions of administration? Vince?
Question. We're dealing with a
We can't hear you, Vince.
Yeah, the print that we have from the homeowner is just in pencil. At least mine is.
Sorry, Vince, we still can't hear you. You're breaking up.
Not on mute, so I should be.
No, you're good now.
Okay. So the print that we got from the homeowner is just a pencil print. Is that where that came from? The question was the same one that Jim brought up. When you actually lay the foundation, and that becomes that we're not doing something that's going to end up a foot larger, which is then is going to require another, if you happen to ever sell the property and it's bigger than what's there, the setbacks aren't right. I just want to be clear that we have enough room here for that Mr. Gillen understands there's got to be a minimum of that from the lot line, regardless of how that does his print. Anybody understand me here? The concern I've got?
I think I understand. I think I understand what you're saying there. So you're wanting to make sure that what we have marked on the print is the actual size of the room that we're going to build. Is that your concern?
That's because in the future, if these people ever want to sell the property and they find that it's a foot further than it should have been, then they no longer meet the setback or the approved variance that we gave to that setback. So we would have to do it again.
Yes.
And you just keep encroaching.
Okay. Yep. So what I particularly do for these meetings, I have my designer that will do a 20-page document in full detail. But for these meetings, I do a quick little site plan so we kind of know. But the size of the sunroom that we have marked on the plan is the exact size. It will not alter. So that size that we are going to build, that is the outside dimensions of our sunroom size. It won't be a foot larger. It won't be the size we have on the plan is exactly the size that we are going to build.
And more importantly then, the 23 feet surrounded in red, somebody's better make sure that it's not larger. There's no less room than 23 feet on that. That's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that part.
The grid that has been drawn here, it's got showing a backyard of 23 feet.
Correct.
So is that what we're approving? This is to administration. Is that what we're approving? And as long as you stay within 23 feet or less, we're okay. Administration agrees?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, 23 feet or like they have to have at least 23 feet or more, right? So it's not less, it's more. So because more would be the building would be bigger, right? So yeah, you're right, Vince.
Okay, anybody else? All right. Having heard any comments or concerns made by administration, agencies, and the public, is the committee ready to make a decision? Is there a motion?
I move acceptance.
Jim?
Right, yeah, more, minimum, yeah, exactly. More, okay.
Is there a seconder? Teresa? All in favor? That carries. Thank you, Mr. Gillen.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, committee.
I noticed that Peruth is in the room. If that's okay with administration, I'll go back to the first application.
Yep.
Okay. Application number 1, A721, file number 4116, Justin and Peruth Kalissa. Application for a minor variance for reduced rear yard setback of a proposed sunroom. Mr. Tufts is going to make a presentation on this application.
And we have a application for minor variance for proposed sunroom. The subject lands are zoned residential 1. The site plan shows a rear yard setback of 6.5 meters. There's an existing covered deck that the homeowner would like to enclose into a 4-season room. The rear yard setback for a deck is 8 feet, and their existing is, 21.3 feet. The sunroom will not project any further into the rear yard than the existing deck. We recommend that it be approved with no conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Tuft. Mrs. Kalissa, you may now speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and a brief explanation of your application. Please confirm that you've read and understood the staff report.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me this evening. My name is Peruth Kalissa. I live on 290 International. I've lived on this address in LaSalle for the last 25 years. We had a deck for as long as we lived here, and over the years we have had to replace the covering of the awning because of the wind or why not. And we would like to replace it with a sunroom, an enclosed sunroom. Sorry, I'm not sure what else you want me to say. Maybe I'll respond to questions if people have any. But our wish is to replace the deck the existing deck that we had with an awning, to replace it with a sunroom that's covered with the roof and enclosed in. And it's like Ryan said, it's not going to be any bigger going towards the back than the deck that we had.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, any questions of Mrs. Kalissa?
We can't hear you.
I just have questions for administration.
Okay, well, any questions for the committee at this point? No? Okay, Vince, go ahead. questions for administration?
And whatever the minimum yard setback is, it's maintained. Any issues in future.
Can't hear you.
We couldn't hear you, Vince.
It was just the same concern as I had with Ryan,
Okay.
with Kellen, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Just make sure that whatever's agreed to.
Okay, so just the gist of it is you just have the same concerns as the previous item, that it's actually going to be built. They've got the setback that you're approving at the 6.5 meters, and it won't encroach any further than that. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions of administration? Okay. Having heard any comments or concerns made by administration agencies and the public, is the committee ready to make a decision? Vince, and a seconder,
I'll second it.
Val,
Yes,
and everybody all in favor? And that carries. Thank you, Mrs. Calissa.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, number 3, application 0921. File 118, Laurier Horizons, application for a minor variance for a reduced minimum first floor height for 2 proposed apartment buildings. And Mr. Tufts is going to make a presentation on the severance application.
Can anybody hear Ryan?
Sorry about
You're
that.
muted, Ryan.
Sorry about that. So I'll go back to the start here. We've got variance to allow reduced minimum first floor height for future apartment style buildings. The subject land designated residential district in the town's official plan, and zoned a traditional neighborhood design mixed use 1, traditional neighborhood design residential 1-2, and a recreational. The site plan shows the proposed location of the 2 buildings in red. This would be Laurier Parkway, and this is Huron Church Line. The applicant has also submitted a site plan control and a draft plan of condominium applications to the town. The reduced minimum first floor height will allow the developer to reduce the overall height of both of the proposed buildings. We are recommending that it be approved with no conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Tufts. I apologize if I mispronounced this,
Sotirakos, very close.
Thank you. You're the agent. You may speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself in a brief explanation of the application, and please confirm that you've read and understood the staff report.
Thank you. So my name's Zoe Sotirakos. I'm with Dillon Consulting. I am the agent on file on behalf of Melanie Muir, who's on vacation this week. So the review of the application, thank you, Ryan. Can you see a screen that has the presentation? Let me make sure that I get it.
Yeah, it was up.
Okay. All right. So hopefully you can still see it. So as Ryan stated, our application is for a reduced first floor height from 4.25 meters to 3.5 meters. So it's a reduction of 1 meter in total. The proposed buildings are residential in nature and not mixed use. Which would typically require a higher first floor height on the ceiling. It meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. These first floor units will be garden villa style units, and it's our opinion that this application is minor in nature and meets the tests. Here is the first phase where the 2 buildings will be. The parking is to the rear, frontage on Laurier Parkway and Mio Boulevard. There's a rendering of from the west side. So this is off of Mio Boulevard in the south elevation here. In this very small red box, I apologize, is just the reduced first floor height highlighted. It's the elevation from the east off of Laurier. And here is my contact information and Melanie's, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have. And
Okay.
I confirm that I read and understood the staff report. Thank
All right. Committee members, any questions? Vince?
Just one question that's just general in nature. Why the reduction? All these years have been going without this, and now when you come forward with the last, I'm just curious as to why it's changed.
Sorry, I missed part of that.
Sorry, Vince, are you just asking why are they looking to reduce the first floor height? Okay. You just the whole time you're breaking up, so I picked that out of it.
So the reduced first floor height is due to the residential nature of the units on the first floor that don't require the height to be as tall. The total height of the building is still under the maximum requirement. It's just this requirement for the first floor height that we're seeking a variance on.
Okay.
And if I might add, sorry, and if I might add, Vince, the change that Zoe is bringing forward is also being brought forward as part of our new comprehensive zoning bylaw. So we have actually gone through the document and actually reduced the heights even for mixed use buildings. You know, realizing that the 4.25 meters was a little excessive in height. So we've actually reduced it down. So all of the mixed use buildings in these corridors, once the new zoning bylaw is fully enforced and in place, will actually be the same height, the 3.25. So this will be in keeping with the new document.
Thanks, Al. Thanks, Zoe. Any other questions of Zoe? No? Any other questions for administration? Seeing none. Is there a motion? Jim and Teresa, all in favor? That carries. Thanks, Zoe.
Thank you.
Application number 4, B0921, file 4114, George Real Estate Management Limited, and the application is for consent to create 2 new lots and 1 lot addition. And Mr. Tufts again is going to make a presentation on this application.
Okay, so we have consent to create 2 new lots and 1 lot addition. Subject land is designated residential district in the town's official plan. It's zoned residential 1 and residential 1 holding. This is the proposed site plan from the applicant. It shows the 2 new lots. So lot 1 at 19 meters, lot 2 at 22 meters, and the remaining portion at the back will be the lot addition to the applicant's own home at 1300 Monkey. The creation of 2 infill lots and 1 lot addition efficiently utilizes existing services. Both of the new lots exceed the minimum requirements of the town zoning bylaw. And again, the lot addition will be combined with the applicant's residence at 1300 Monty. The applicant intends to maintain the lands in its natural state. The town recommends that this application be approved subject to the following. So the first item would be a survey. The second item would be a severance agreement with the town that includes such matters but not limiting to drainage and servicing. The third condition would be that the secretary treasurer is provided an undertaking that the lot addition will be consolidated with the property at 1300 Monty Street, and that the above is fulfilled by August the 18th of 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Tufts. Mr. George, you may speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and provide a brief explanation of your application, and please confirm that you've read and understood the staff report.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody see me on the camera, by the way? Can you guys see me? No?
No. There you are.
Okay, okay, thanks, guys. Mark, George, again, thank you very much, Town Council, for giving me the opportunity to submit my application for consent to create the 2 new building lots fronting on Ream Road and a lot addition to the property at my own house on 1300 Monty. I totally understand what Mr. Turf had illustrated in the staff report. If there's any questions, I'll feel free to answer any questions that the council may have.
Okay, committee members, any questions for Mr. George? Seeing none, any committee members, any questions of administration? Vince?
Just want to, when I received the email, I just want to make sure that it is part of the minutes. So although I approved the application, I just want to make sure that it's recognized that their concern was brought forward and that it is being looked after item 3 in the motion. But I just want it to be recorded and to show up in there. Obviously, some things on that email you cannot do, but I think it should just be part of the minutes.
Okay, so noted.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Having heard any comments or concerns made by administration, agencies, and the public, is the committee ready to make a decision? Do we have a motion?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
I believe Ms. Prince
I
has
was
a
hoping to
question.
speak. I was hoping to speak to the application if you would allow that.
I'm sorry.
John, Ms. Prince is speaking on this item.
On this same application?
Yeah.
Sorry, Ms. Prince, go right ahead.
No worries. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate your willingness to let me speak. So I'm here acting on behalf of Mr. Karchmaru, who is an abutting property owner to the lot addition to Mr. George's property. So their property fronts on Monty. So first of all, I'd like to say that Mr. Karchmaru, as well as the other 3 neighbors, are very pleased that Mr. George has purchased the property and that his intention is to keep the area behind all of their homes as a natural area. They've been in some discussions with Mr. George over the last, I think maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday kind of thing. And they think that they may be able to work out an agreement whereby perhaps some or all of the 4 homes that front on Monty will be in a position to acquire a little bit of land from Mr. George from the lot addition portion to add on to the rear of their properties in order to ensure the preservation of the natural area immediately behind their homes, in addition to ensuring the privacy that they currently enjoy. And Mr. George has indicated, and I don't mean to put words in his mouth, but I believe he's indicated a willingness to discuss that. And if in fact that does happen, then I think the neighbors will be quite happy with these applications proceeding. It was also equally important for Mr. Karchmaru and the others that they not hold up Mr. George. They recognize that he has a sizable investment in what he's doing there, and they don't want to delay his ability to sell those lots and recapture some of his investment. It would be their hope, however, that within the 20-day appeal period, that perhaps an agreement of purchase and sale, I should speak only for Mr. Karchmaru, an agreement of purchase and sale for maybe something marked like 6 meters is something that we could get in place. In the event that that gets completed within the 20-day appeal period, then there'll be no appeals, and you know, be off to the races as far as the neighbors are concerned. If you're wondering, and I should give some planning basis for the comment, and it's really just simply, you know, 783E5, achieve an appropriate lot configuration that's compatible with the surrounding community character. That's really the only concern. Everything else looks great. It's a little bit unusual to have a lot that wraps around in behind a number of other lots. That's not sort of a, you know, a standard lot configuration. However, the neighbors again really prefer Mr. George have this property than see some kind of development back there. So they don't expect Mr. George to be the individual who takes care of that for them, though. There's a willingness to acquire the property if Mr. George is willing to sell a piece and take care of their own assurance of privacy and their own assurance that the natural area that exists back there now is maintained. So those are my comments, Mr. Chair. Again, we thank Mr. George for his willingness to jump in and having acquired this property and his intent to keep it in a natural state. We do acknowledge it's change over time, and so Mr. Karchmaru wants to ensure that he acquires the property necessary to ensure his privacy and ensure the natural area behind his home is maintained. So, but I think we can work that out over the course of the next 20 days during the appeal period and not have to slow down this process or interfere with Mr. George's plans in any way. I did want to be on the record though, so that I maintain right to appeal on behalf of Mr. Karchmaru.
Thank you very much. This is all noted in the minutes. Committee, any questions for Ms. Prince? Vince?
Most of it, unfortunately. Part the property, large lot. Is that the property we're talking about, Cindy?
We can't hear you, Vince. You're breaking up the whole time.
So if I heard any of it, I believe Mr. Marcotte is wondering if the lands that we're talking about are landlocked in any way. I thought I heard landlocked, maybe not, but they're not. They'll be joined to Mr. George's existing property that has lots of frontage on Monty.
Is one large, would it be an addition?
Yes, the lot addition will be going to 1300 Monty.
The property that Cindy's talking about, is that the property we're talking about?
That's correct.
No. Yes,
No.
Go ahead, Al.
So Cindy is representing the interests of 3 abutting properties, which are abutting Mr. George's property on Monty Street. And they are also interested in possibly acquiring some of the new property which Mr. George is proposing as the lot addition. Those will be separate applications which can be made at any time after, and the negotiations with Ms. Prince and her group and Mr. George, that will be something which will have nothing to do with the municipality. They'll have to go through their full approvals. The Conservation Authority and other agencies will have opportunities to comment. I know individuals are, concerned about the idea of preserving this area in its natural state. The only issue that I would have concern with is as you can continue to divvy this property up into a number of different property owners, there will be opportunities for kind of further disruption of the area. But I'm sure that through those negotiations and discussions, they can come up with something that they can work out. However, like I said, that is a separate issue. It's not a matter of this item or this application. And those will be negotiations which will be ongoing with Ms. Prince and Mr. George and her clients. And if they so choose to go forward, then we will see them someday before us, for this committee again. But at this time, the proposed lot addition, and again, the main crux of what Mr. George was trying to attempt to do is he wanted to try to make sure that that area was maintained generally in its natural state. The idea is that how can I do that without, and still have control over it? And that's why the concept of his lot addition was brought forward to say that he would be able to control that property. He could own it. Yes, it does go in behind a number of other lots. However, the preservation of that natural area was more of the focus for Mr. George, and even with the Conservation Authority, they were entertaining the idea that this area stays as one piece with one ownership. So they were in their comments, they were in favor of that. So again, when the application comes before us, if there are a lot of additions, then we'll review that application and we'll go forward at that time.
Okay. Cindy, you have a question?
I just had one additional comment in that I'm really just sort of thinking out loud here. I don't know if this has legs or not, but I'm just wondering, Alan, if there's maybe even an opportunity in the severance agreement to
I'm sorry?
reinforcement. If there's an opportunity to add something in the severance agreement that adds a little reinforcement to the preservation in its natural state. I don't know if that's here or not.
At this time, there was nothing required by the Conservation Authority. There's no known species at risk. Again, if any of that vegetation were to be removed, like for instance, the tree cover or the understory, we routinely recommend to anybody, no matter how the size of the property, or whether it be, a 50 or 75 acre site, or whether it be a small couple acre site like this, that they engage a professional to do some ecological work to determine whether or not there's any natural significance, before that they would remove it. So at this time, there's no scientific or no other evidence otherwise to say that we need to have any kind of easement on the property or any kind of designation on the property. So at this point, until there's something otherwise noted, we would just at this time recommend that it just remain just as it is. If one of the other agencies had suggested such, then definitely we would have looked at that.
Okay. Any other questions of Cindy Prince? Seeing none. Any other questions for administration? No. Is there a motion? Vince, do we have a seconder?
Second it.
Val, all in favor? That carries. Thank you, Mr. George.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Application number 5, B1021, file 115. Incencio Pedro and Carolyn Midias. The application for
Cindy, you're
consent to
still on
create
mic.
access.
It's still up in my office. Oh, okay. So we're
Application for consent to create an access easement with the abutting property. And Mr. Tufts is going to make a presentation on the severance application.
Okay, so we have a consent application to create an access easement for the abutting property at 2982 Front Oak. Subject land is designated rural, agricultural, and wetland in the town's official plan, and zoned agricultural and wetland in the town's zoning bylaw. Proposed easement would run approximately this portion of the property. The applicant has already applied to the town to construct an addition to their existing home at 2982, and they would require access from 2978. To ensure the private driveway has access and legally obtained and transferred for future owners, they require an easement that's granted by the Committee of Adjustment. We recommend that it would be approved based on the following, so that they provide a survey to us and that the application is filled by August the 18th of 2022.
Okay. Mrs. Midias, you may now speak to the matter. Please introduce yourself and provide an explanation of your application. And please confirm that you've read and understood the staff report.
Hello, my name's Caroline Midias, and this is my husband, Inocencio Pedro. We have read and understand the staff report. We currently reside at 2988, but we own 2982 and 2978. We had a fire last year, and on the 2982, we had a barn at that location, and it is our intention to rebuild that barn and also in addition to the existing house that's there. And in order to do so, we have to access our other property, which we own. We own both properties, but we need to access 2982 from 2978. Therefore, we are requesting the easement.
Okay, thanks, Mrs. Midias. Committee members, any questions of Mrs. Midias? Seeing none. Committee members, any questions of administration? Vince?
To be. Does it go from the highway all the way? How long is the easement?
How long is it? 1,400 feet, the length of the property.
Feet.
Go ahead, Al.
So Vince, the property which the easement's going to be on actually runs about 2,800 feet to go all the way out to the river. So the property the easement is only going to run the full length of the existing lot where they are going to be building these buildings. We didn't extend it all the way out to the river or out to the water course. So it's only the length of the property. And in fact, a good portion of that property actually also has wetlands on it. So the actual usability of the easement which they're going to have here is probably about, I think it's about 500 feet approximately, where basically for their house and for the barn. The entire idea is that basically this couple has taken ownership of these 3 properties, and because they are not merged, because of they're held the way their title is held, and because they were created by consent earlier on, they needed to get they needed to get the easement, because at any time they can transfer either the property to the north or the property to the south. So we wanted to ensure that driveway, which they've always used throughout all these years, would always be available to this property owner in the future. And we extended it the full length of the site just because it's the full length of the site. It's not so much that there's a future use or future access planned. It's only because that is the length of the site. So it was thought that, if something were to happen in the future and they were able to need access further along in the site for drainage purposes or whatnot, they would at least have that access.
Thanks, Al. Any other questions of administration? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
We'll accept.
Jim?
Yep.
And Teresa? All in favor? And that carries. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate
You're
your
welcome.
service.
Okay. Next meeting is to be determined. Ryan, does that mean there isn't one scheduled for September?
With the new zoning bylaw going to council next week, we're looking at holding an October meeting, because then that would give us time to review applications and provide sufficient notice and time to prepare the staff reports. So with the new zoning bylaw coming into place, it doesn't really leave us enough time to hold the September meeting. So we're looking at holding one in October.
Sounds great. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Vince has a question.
Well, go ahead.
Vince, you're all pixelated, Vince. We can't hear you. You want to call me? Do you want to call me tomorrow, Vince, and then we can?
else hear me? I just want to know if we're
You're going in and out, Vince. So we can sometimes hear part of your comment and then it goes out and then it comes back in. So now we can't hear you at all.
Anybody read lips?
Yeah, not well enough.
Not that well. How about if Vince calls Ryan tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can call me, Vince. It doesn't matter. Either of us we can talk about what's going on. But generally speaking, like Ryan said, because council will be adopting the new zoning bylaw hopefully next Tuesday, provided they do, and then we'll also have appeal periods. It was thought that we would hold off that next agenda because we have to actually advertise on the Friday after the council meeting, so we'll know whether or not council has decided to go ahead with the new zoning bylaw, but we won't know if there's any appeals. So it was thought that, give it the month, we will be through the appeal period, we'll know what sections are potentially of appeal or not, and that will also give us an opportunity to work with anybody who wants to make an application to be able to review the new document. There may be situations where under the new zoning bylaw, they don't need relief, or in other cases, they may find that there's actually new reliefs that they need in addition to what they were previously going to apply for. I believe Ryan has one application that was looking to go forward, and naturally there will be others, but again, so that's why we're trying to hold off. It gives us that opportunity to implement that new document or find out if it gets implemented first off. Ideally, I guess one of the other comments would be is depending on what does happen, if the new zoning bylaw does not get enacted at the next council meeting, and if it's pushed off for a month or more, we may actually decide to actually go ahead and hold the September meeting, but we will definitely contact us. But for right now, we are looking that there will be no September meeting that we'd be looking at going forward for.
Great.
Hopefully that helps.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Jim, second. Val. Have a great summer, everybody, what's left of it, and we'll see everyone in September or October.
Okay.
Thanks. Have a good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Same to
Bye-bye.
you, John. Same to you.
Bye, bye, Val, Jim,
Bye.
John.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Teresa.
Ryan.